On this episode, yes, I shaved, and I also teach you how to solve a 6x6. Watch how. All right, so it is that moment we've all been waiting for. It's time to solve the 6x6. Some things to make note of. A 6x6 is definitely like a 4x4, meaning that there is no true center. You got to build your center. And in this case, instead of building a center of 2, you're building a center, 4 wide. So that is about it as far as the differences. The parities from a 4x4 to a 6x6 are the same, and so you'll notice some similarities. So with that said, the only difference between a 4x4 and a 6x6, in my opinion, is just the time it takes. There is, some differences, like you'll need to apply the things that you learned how to solve in the 5x5 to the 6x6. So I guess it is kind of, instead of on a 4x4 where you can kind of solve an edge differently than you can solve an edge on a 5x5, knowing both of those things are going to help you with this cube. So with that said, let's get scrambling. And there you have it, a full scramble. I didn't really put one into the scrambler for you. I just kind of started twisting randomly until it looked like it was pretty well scrambled up. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is solve the centers. I always pick the white. The white for me is just, it's recognizable. So when I am solving for the white edge, I do 3 deep. I don't typically go 4 deep. I don't know why. It's a habit that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and give you, I'm going to go ahead and show you what that would kind of look like. Not too much commentary here. This is definitely more of an intuitive step. So if you don't understand how to solve a 2x2, a 4x4, 2x2, this is definitely something you're going to want to kind of have a base knowledge of before you jump into a 6x6. Because what I'm doing here is I'm building a center. And I know I'm taking a very long time doing this. Because honestly, I'm not really that fast at it. I know how to solve a lot of cubes. I don't know how to solve a lot of cubes quickly. So you'll notice what I'm doing here is that whenever I'm putting, a cube piece up, I'm always kind of leaving space for that so I don't ruin my center. And again, this is going to be more of an intuitive thing. Notice how I have my white center. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the opposites. So I always like doing opposite sides. You might think otherwise, but for me, it just helps me keep track. Because in a 6x6, you have to know where the centers are. So if you don't know that white and yellow is opposite, and then when you do that, you build your red. And if you don't know where the blue goes, I always do, like red, white, blue. I always hold it like that. I go red, white, blue, kind of like a flag. And then you just know that green corresponds blue and orange corresponds red. So that's my little trick for learning, kind of how to place that. And I'll show you that in a second, but memorizing that placement's going to be good. So going into the yellow side, I have a full yellow edge right there. So I'm going to bring it up, but notice that this is out. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate that over and bring this white back down, keeping that intact. Well, since I've already given 4, I might as well just start building a full edge anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this piece up. And this one as well. So I'm obviously going to be just taking that out. I'm just going to go down, and it's back in place. Let's see, we'll do a few more here before I just kind of speed this up so you don't have to watch me do it the entire time. I'm going to, again, line it up here because I know I'm going to be needing one free row. So I'm going to just do that, flip it around, and bring this yellow edge back in. And last but not least, let's go ahead and get this last little row here. Again, I want to stress that solving the centers is a very intuitive process. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you some commutators toward the end, little tricks that will help you get pieces in place, things that you should know for the 5x5. But, I'll refresh on it. So with that said, I'm going to start building my red and my blue edge, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so there you have it. I've got my white, my yellow, my red, my blue, and if you don't know how to place that, again, I always look at it like this. I always hold the cube with the white facing up, and I just think red, white, blue. I don't know how or why that makes sense to me. It just does. So now all I have left to do is my orange and green. And if you don't know, obviously green corresponds blue, and orange corresponds red. So I'm going to be building my orange layer right here. So let's go ahead and do that. As I build this, it's going to be a little bit more, again, kind of being centric and focusing on the fact that I've got, these pieces that I'm putting out of place to get things in place. And I'm going to be enlisting the help of a commutator to complete this solve. So here's a good little way to start. So I have this cube right here, and I have this orange one right here. I want this orange piece to go right there. So essentially, I'm going to be performing an algorithm, another algorithm, and then undoing it, and in place it's going to turn in. So better way to explain it, or just to show you. So let's say it was like this, and I'm like, all right, I got this piece here, and this piece is right here. I'm going to bring this piece up so it's in line with the piece I want. I'm going to just isolate that piece right there. So I'm going to be bringing this piece up so the blank spot's there. I'm going to rotate this, and I'm going to see into a piece that has an already finished edge, and I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to undo it now. So I'm bringing this down, because now you can see that I'm taking this piece from this line, but I'm going to be replacing it with that piece that I already took out, and I'm going to be undoing it. So now I've got that piece in place. Now all I have to do is focus on this. Well, this already has 2 in there, so I might as well simplify it by, only having to deal with 2 pieces. So essentially, I'm going to line both of these pieces up. With that, I'm going to do one at a time. So again, let's just start with this one, empty, and I want this piece. So I'm going to be isolating it, rotating it, bringing it up, bringing it down, and bringing it down again. Now I have left is this piece right here, and the same exact thing. Isolate this line, bring it up, rotate it over, bring up a completed piece, and now I'm undoing it. Undo it, bring it down, undo it, bring it down. And there you have it. I've got all of my centers completed: white, yellow, red, orange, blue, and green. Now it's time to solve some edges. Okay, so now that we've solved all the centers, those are looking mighty fine. It's time to go on the edges. When I solve a 6x6, it's like a 5x5 and a 4x4. It's really best to just do it in the reduction method. That way you can apply any algorithms you want to. Since I'm teaching you guys a basic method, it's going to be solved just like a 3x3. Once I get all the parities solved, well, there are parities involved, so I can't really solve it completely like a 3x3, but I'll still show you. But I will have algorithms. So with that, it's better to just get into it. I say to start attacking edges wherever you see necessary. I like solving all the white facing ones first, because honestly, it's just easier for me to recognize. So I'm going to just kind of run into it. And there's no better way again, it's just better to just go into it and tackle it. So if you've ever solved a 5x5, you get how to do this process. Really, all you're doing is you're just finding things like this. Oh, and I see some opportunities here. Actually, I'm going to bring it over here. Where I have like these greens right here and these greens right there. I'm lining them up. I can bring them all over in line. I can bring it up. I can pick any row I want, like that, for instance. I can bring it down and over. And now my whole cube is intact. And I have a full completed edge. Let's see, orange and white. I see another one right there, so I'm going to bring it down, bring this over. And since I want this bar, I'm going to bring this up like that. I try not to unsolve too many edges when I'm doing this, obviously. And I'll do a few more before I kind of speed on by this, because there's really no point in watching me solve every single edge naturally. So I'll just solve, again, I'll just get all these white edges solved first, just so you can kind of see that I'm not completely full of crap. There we go. Super exciting. I think what's more important to go through is definitely the parities, because again, that's really at the core of this is what really matters. Because I mean, if you don't know how to solve a center and just any for any even number cube, and if you don't know how to do the edging like this, you probably shouldn't be doing a 6x6, because there is some base knowledge to kind of understand. Once you get it, it's really not too much more to learn. So here you have it. I've got all the white edges completed. And I'm going to go ahead and speed on past this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get it to where it's the last 3 edges unsolved, because you're typically not going to have more than, I mean, you'll have 2 edges. I guess I'll just get it to 2 edges. Tell you what, you just keep solving. I'll keep solving, but I'll do it fast right here. And I'll see you at the end when I have it down to about 2 edges. And if I have to undo one to get it solved, I will, and I'll show you. So there's a little process involved with it. So with that said, let's get cranking. Okay, so now I've got 3 edges left. I got this edge right here, this edge right here, and this edge right here. And notice how I like to solve these 2 centerpieces first, leaving it to where I'm forced to solve one of these 2 outer edge pieces last. And what I do here is I get this kind of lined up. So for instance, so this piece right here needs to go right there. And when I bring this in, I'm bringing this up. So I'm going to need a piece that's going to be like this right here. This one needs to be along this edge. So if I put it right there, this top piece needs to be right there. So how I do it is I bring this up, and I do this little thing where I bring it down, up, over, and I bring this piece back up. So now the edge is back where it was at. I bring it over here, and I kind of solve this last little edge piece. Up. And now all of these edges are intact. Every last one of them. In this case, there was no parities. However, I want to show you how to solve a parity on a 6x6. It's very similar to the 5x5 parity. It just involves an extra piece. So let me go ahead and do a quick scramble of that, and I'll be right back. Okay, so you may have an edge parity that looks similar to this. It might be a different color somewhere else in this cube, but it'll look similar to this, meaning that the whole edge is correct. It's just these pieces are flipped. So it's pretty simple. I'll have the algorithm again down here, and I'll be going very slow. I'm also going to be making a video, or putting out a video that's going to just cover this parity alone. So it'll be a quick 2-minute video just to recap this edge parity. If you do happen to need a quick reference, I do like to put out those quick reference videos just to have as again a quick reference. So with that said, let's go ahead and get into it. First thing you're going to want to do is think about this. Whenever you're working with the right side, over on this side, you're going to be making a U move. Whenever you're working on the left side, it's going to be an F move. So it'll look something like this. So I'm going to be referring to this as right middle, and this is going to be left middle. Okay? So in this case, it'll be right middle inversed, U2, left middle, F2, LMI, so our left middle inversed, F2, RM2, U2, right middle, U2, right middle inversed, U2, Now I'm going to be doing an F2 move, an RM2 move, and an F2 move. And now it's all intact. So the whole cube is intact, and you should have no problems. Again, if you didn't see that slow enough or whatever, or, you could always rewind this video a little bit, or you can watch my my edge parity quick solve video, which would be a quick 2-minute reference. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so now the cube is going to be solved just about like a 3x3 for the most part. We're going to go ahead and solve the white cross. If you can't solve a 3x3 at this point, you should probably stop watching this video because you're missing out on some very critical knowledge. So if solving a white cross is difficult, I urge you to watch one of my videos on how to solve a Rubik's Cube. So here's my white cross. That's a very intuitive section. And again, view it like this. This is basically your edge pieces in your center. So look at the 6x6 is just a big giant 3x3. And now you can start solving the corner pieces here. You could obviously do F2L. You can, it's not really any different than a 3x3, but for all intents and purposes, for learning purposes, instead of going through all those sequences, I'm going to show you just the basic stuff. Oops, that's obviously not the right one. I have clearly never solved a puzzle before. So I'm going to get my corners in place, green, orange, and put it right there. And if you do hear a screaming child in the background, it's because my kid has lost her mind. And I can't find a quiet place in this house to actually do any videos. So be forewarned, I do not own a torture chamber. I just have a screaming 2-year-old that is literally having a hard time living at the moment. So not like she's dying or anything, it's just that she's having a child's meltdown. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and solve the middle layer here. And to keep it simple again, I'm going to, instead of doing F2L, I'm just going to go ahead and show you how I do it if I was doing a basic solve. So with this piece, for instance, I'm going to be ignoring all of these yellow pieces and focus on the ones that I just have the 2 colors that are giving the edges. So I'm going to find the green and the red, and I'm going to align the color with whatever one is aligned with it. If this was red and green, I would put the red face right there. In this case, it's green. Since I need this piece to go here, I'm going to be going to the left. So with that said, I'm going to be going D inversed, right inversed, D, right, D, F, D inversed, F inversed. And that's going to do is get that piece in place. Now I'm going to continue doing this until all my middle layers are solved. In this case, this edge is going to go to the left. So I'm going to be bringing this piece to the right. And again, if you've ever solved a 3x3, you should know how to do this. If not, again, you might want to consider watching a 3x3. So I'm going to the right. So I'm going to go D, L, D inversed, L inversed, D inversed, F inversed, D, F. And that's going to get that solved as well. So now I've got these 2 pieces solved, and it's on the next. I see I have a red one with a blue edge. I'm going to the left. Same thing as, again, I'm going to go to the left, so it's going to be D inversed, R inversed, D, R, D, F, D inversed, F inversed. And now it's in place there. And last but not least, I'm going to bring this orange piece. I need it to go here, so I'm going to be bringing this piece to the right. So it's going to be D, L, D inversed, L inversed, D inversed, F inversed, D, F. And there you have it. You have the first 2, or I guess in this case, the first 5 layers solved, and that's onto to the bottom piece. Okay, so here we go into the last layer. What you want to do is solve the yellow cross, or in this case, get the, yeah, you know how to do it. In this case, I have the top, or I call it the top cross because I'm holding it to the top, but it's essentially the last layer yellow cross. In this case, it naturally became like this to where there was a parity. It's when 3 of the 4 edge pieces get solved, and you have to flip this edge. It happens on even number cubes, and it's a fairly easy algorithm to get it unsolved. It's essentially just like the last edge when you have to flip these 2 pieces over, only they're all like this and they're flipped. So I'm going to refer to this as the right middle middle and right middle. I'll never not use these 2 at the same time. And I'm going to refer to these as the left middle middle and left middle. Okay? So like before for the edge parity, I'm going to be doing a right move, and I'm going to be doing a U move in correspondence to it. And I'm going to be doing left moves with a front face move as well. So keep that in mind. And if you need to follow along, like always, I make a quick solve video for this, so you can watch that as well for your own quick reference. So with that said, let's get into it. So we're going to do right middle, middle, right middle, inversed. So bring that down. U2, left middle, middle, left middle, F2, left middle, middle, left middle, inversed, F2. If I can get it to work, because these things are locky. Right middle, middle, right middle, middle, 2. So it's basically a 2 move. U2, right middle, middle, right middle, U2, right middle, inversed, U2. Now here's going to be a different one, so I'm going to be going F2, and then I'm going to go right middle, 2, and then I'm going to do F2. And there you have it. If it was really close up, I apologize. Sometimes it's when I get into it, I look at the cube and I don't look at the camera, and I gotta look at that when these cubes get bigger and bigger. I'm so used to working with something much smaller, so it makes it's so much bigger in the camera, especially how close I have it. So yeah, so now at this point you should have a full top yellow cross. If you don't know how to do that, I'm going to also show you some moves. So in some situations where in the event that you have an L or a bar, how to do that as well. So 1 second here while I get that L put in place. Okay, so here I have the L, and again, if it's like this, you just want to rotate it to where the L is. Again, L is over here to the upper left hand, and I just perform a very simple step. So holding it with the top layer up, and then again the L up here, just like this, you're going to go, holding it, you go F, R, U, R inversed, U inversed, F inversed. And now you'll have this bar, and holding it again to the top, do the exact same thing over again. F, R, U, R inversed, U inversed, F inversed. And now you have the cross. Now in some cases it'll, again, if you hadn't already solved the parity, you would have just the 3 of the 4. In this case, I already solved the parity first because my cube naturally solved with the cross. So I just kind of did this whole step backwards for you. But either way, nonetheless, you should be at this point right now, able to move on to the next. Okay, so now we're going to want to go ahead and align these edge pieces with their proper. So for instance, it got the green and the blue in this case. In most cases, you'll have green and red green and orange align. So you have to just align these two. But in this case, it's kind of like a quasi parity. It's not really a parity, but I'll show you how to solve it. It just takes an extra step doing the algorithm over again, only rotating it, just one time. So yeah, so with that said, holding the solved edge like this, so these 2 solved edges are like this, holding it like this, you're going to go R, U2, R inversed, U inversed, R, U inversed, R inversed, U inversed. And now you're going to go ahead and hold it. So again, I got to get these pieces aligned again. So now you have the green and red aligned. So you want to make sure you get that piece to where you have two aligned pieces like this. And with the aligned pieces over here and the unsolved pieces over here, let's do it again. It's going to be R, U2, R inversed, U inversed, R, U inversed, R inversed, U inversed. And now you have all of these beautiful little edges solved. Now it's time for the corners. Yippee! Okay, now it's time to solve the last corners of the last layer, which is this yellow layer. And with that said, it's time to find any corners that are in the right place. So I don't see any here so far, and this one right here is. So with this solved corner, now in my case, mine's actually physically solved, but if it could be in any direction, just as long as it's in the correct placement, as long as this cube is in some direction along the yellow, blue, and red, corner, you're in good shape. Now holding it with, again, this piece up top, right here in the bottom right corner, you're going to do this. It's going to go L inversed, U, R, U inversed, L, U, R inversed, U. Inversed. I can't even speak. So in that case, I have now officially aligned all of my corner pieces here, but I want to go ahead and show you what it would look like if I didn't. All right, so I got everything kind of into a place where I kind of built a parity into it. You'll notice that this piece is correct, right? Blue, red, yellow. Blue, red, yellow. That's correct. Yellow, blue, orange. Yellow, blue, orange. That's correct. However, green, yellow, red, green, yellow, orange. Green, yellow, orange, green, yellow, red. These two need to be swapped. These are correct. This is a last two corner parity. And let me go ahead and show you how to do that. So I always just keep the solved pieces up front. There's really no direction you need to have this in, because this algorithm will solve that issue. So again, when I'm referring to this, it is going to be this is the only side I use. Really, it's going to be just the right, middle, right, middle, and then I'm going to be using just the top layer, and I'm going to be this little like middle slice. So again, just kind of keep watching and go from there. So it's going to be double, so it doesn't make a difference which way you go. So I'm just going to go ahead and just get into it. So with right, middle, and right, middle, I'm going to go twice. So now I'm bringing this piece all the way around, and I'm going to go U2. I'm doing it again now. I'm going to take this whole piece again, and go right, middle, two again. And I'm taking this whole middle section, this middle slice here. I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to do it all over again. One full turn, middle slice again. So now what I have to do is I have to undo it all over again, where I have to solve. I have the edges like this, and I have these two unsolved edges. So holding it with this thing aligned, I'm going to go ahead and do the alignment of it. So I'm going to go right, U2, right inversed, U inversed, right, U inversed, right inversed, and I'm going to rotate it again, and I'm going to go right, U2, right inversed, U inversed, right, U inversed, right inversed, and I'm going to go ahead and do a U inverse move. So now it's in place. So they're all aligned, and I see a solved corner there. So now I'm going to do that thing I did before, where I'm going to be aligning all these corners up, and I'm going to go L inversed, U, R, U inversed, L, U, R inversed, U inversed. I don't see any change there, so I'm going to do it one more time, and it should put it all in place. L inversed, U, R, U inversed, L, U, R inversed, U inversed. In this case, I have solved, or I have it in place. This one is in place. This one's in place. This one's solved. Now we can solve the last step. Okay, So on to the last step, which is basically just solving the cube. And this, in this case, is like solving a 3 by 3, where I'll have one long algorithm here at the bottom, and taking this solve, having this one single solved cube. If you had a whole solved bar, put it to the left over here. In this case, left bottom. So holding this completely solved cube in the left bottom, with the yellow again facing up, perform this whole algorithm without rotating the cube once. Just again, perform one side then the other in sequence. So it'll be R, U2, R inversed, U inversed, R, U inversed, R inversed, and then go left inversed, U2, L, U, L inversed, U, L. Now I've got this whole solve bar, and these two just need to be correctly changed around. So now I'm going to hold this whole solve bar to my left and do it all over again. I'm going to go R, U2, R inversed, U inversed, R, U inversed, R inversed, L inversed, U2, L, U, L inversed, U, L. It didn't change it, but I'm going to do it one more time and it should solve it in place. I'm going to go R, U2, R inversed, U inversed, R, U inversed, R inversed, L inversed, U2, L, U, L inversed, U, L. Boom. You have a solved 6 by 6. That was grueling. I don't like solving these puzzles personally because honestly, they're just really big. And once you can solve it and you understand how to solve it, you know you can do it, but I don't have any desire to be a speed 6 by 6 solver and solve in a world record. But I do want to teach you how, if you haven't done it yet, how to solve it in sequence. And that's why I like using the quote-unquote basic method. So I hope this was educational for some sort. Definitely don't expect it to be a dynamic video that people are going to watch over and over and over again because they love watching 6 by 6 content. However, it's content and it's instructional, and it's good to have it out there. So with that said, keep on trucking, and God, I might even at this pace attempt the 7 by 7 tutorial video in like a month when I've like recuperated my hands from this tutorial solve. Yeah, and then I'm also gonna have to bust out my 8, 9, and 10. I really want to get a 13 this year, so I'm kind of trying to justify spending over $200 on a cube. We'll see. Maybe if I get like if I get like 100,000 followers, I'll just justify buying it with like, who knows, just for the heck of it. 100,000 is a lot, maybe 10,000. Anyways, with that said, happy cubing, and keep on cubing on. Laters.